Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I had the wrong settings set. What's up?
What's up?
I was just, we got a couple eyes, but we had a couple eyes on. I was just thanking people for watching and thanking people for listening. This has been fun. I know I first started podcasting because I would listen to podcasts and then I would respond to the people podcasting. And I was like, all right, I can do this. And you know, it's just it's had different iterations, but I'm glad of the version of the podcast that we have right now because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Likewise.
Hold on. Can you speak so I can
yeah,
push your level?
I can speak. So
there you go.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. I'm a little loud in my headphones. Turn that down. All right. Never a Lie podcast. I'm TJ. That's Vanessa Rise, a licensed clinical social worker, and we're here to talk about stuff and things. I need a better intro. I need to work on that. It's kind of weak. Anyway, how's it going, Vanessa?
Good, actually. Nobody slashed my tires this week, and I didn't get locked up, so I feel good about that. And you?
Any updates? You find any new information?
No. I have to go to court for the order of protection in December, but because of COVID, there's like this notion that it's going to take many, many months to get squared away. But in the interim, I have a temporary order, so it's fine.
All right, that's good. Just trying to get to a vacation. This past week we saw my folks a few times. We went and decorated the tree and like put decorations around the house and made like a big wrapping paper mosaic on the door. So that was fun. Yeah, we're leaving for Texas next weekend, and so just trying to get through the work days between now and vacation.
Nice. How do you feel about traveling?
We've traveled a couple of times. We've taken the plane once to Texas already. It's pretty safe in the airports. The state of Texas isn't really taking COVID too seriously, so we went out in public once. And it was there's this chain of gas stations called Buc-ee's, and they're known for having the big stores attached. So there's all sorts of like foods and stuff in there. So we went to Buc-ee's, and like there was a lot of people there, and we were the only. I saw us and one other family wearing masks. No one else was wearing masks, and so that was the last time we went out in public while we were in Texas.
Yeah.
And so going now, we're just gonna like stay in the house or like visit other family in small groups, but. In terms of going in public, probably not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scary. I mean, I don't know. It's a super scary thing.
Have you done any traveling?
I don't even go to the grocery store.
just get it delivered?
Yeah, it came today. And I was in session and my doorbell sounds like Star Trek and I can't change it, or Star Wars. There's some weird thing. My tenant changed the doorbell. It's like one that you can program, but my brother and I can't unprogram it. So I'm in session. He keeps ringing the doorbell and I could see him through the window, delivering all of my goods, but I had to explain my doorbell. Strange.
That sounds like that would creep me out if the doorbell was like.
It is weird.
Sci-fi. Is this Star Wars or Star Trek? Star Trek, probably.
I don't know what it is. It's just a weird noise. I used to have it set to Howard Stern because I'm a big Howard Stern fan. So I would have it like say Baba Booey, and I would have Robin singing. I had a couple of different funny ones that I loved, but I can't seem to get it to program properly anymore. And I've tried, but I've given up.
Yeah, sometimes technology just fucking conks out on you just for no reason. No, there's no answer except for reset it or get a new one.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to say. I forgot what. Whatever. It'll come back to me. Last week, when we first talked, you said you wanted to talk about patriarchy, and then we never got to that. So,
yes.
what inspired this thought?
When I was going to get the order of protection, sitting on the board for the Domestic Violence Center in Rockland County, I'm aware of like the barriers that you are confronted with, even when you start at the police station. It's like, yeah, what happened, whatever, and like you're not. It isn't really taken seriously, it's not my first rodeo, and I have to keep pushing. And so ultimately, when I did get in front of a judge, I asked the judge if he wanted to hear my story, and he said no, in no uncertain terms. Like he was like, no, this is what happens in the law, and they sort of go into this like presumptive mode, and I just sit there and wait until I'm allowed to like yes or no. But I just feel, and for me, I'm empowered and I have a big mouth, but like for somebody who's sleeping with one eye open and is afraid of their spouse killing them or what for real, like it's a real, not that mine isn't, but like, maybe they're getting physically abused, or maybe they don't have the resources, and maybe they're afraid to speak up, or maybe they're timid. I just feel so triggered by like they're not getting heard. And I recognize it as a patriarchal experience. When I go in and I sit in front of a female judge, I do get a different vibe. They're kind of like, like I think, I could hear you in a different way. So I'm in, that's something that I feel.
When you said they were presumptive, what were they presuming?
I remember, it was far more about the paperwork in front of him and what he considered to be something that you, let's say, could get an order of protection for, meaning like, was it harassment, or was it, rather than hear like the whole story, they're focused on any criminal component that they can pull out of it. Like the whole story that encompasses this, situation has many parts, and that equals like the scenario that I'm sitting in today. It's not like, this happened. It's not that simple. Like it's kind of like a dynamic situation, and has been for me in the past. It's not just like, okay, this happened. It's more like, well, I'm running at Rockland Lake and this guy comes out of the bushes and like, yeah, maybe you think that's funny. I don't think that's fucking funny, especially when he lives in Kentucky or whatever it is. But the idea of being like, it's not, maybe on paper it doesn't look a certain way, but let me, give you my story.
Yeah, just well, first, let's start with, it's something like 40% of cops have been accused of domestic violence, reportedly. So who knows what it's not reportedly. So they're going in pretty much saying like, fuck domestic violence. What's now tell me your story of where I can arrest somebody or put them into the system. And it's I don't even have the words for it anymore. It's obviously it's patriarchal. Obviously it's disgusting, but to be so inundated with treating women like they're less than a human being, when you live with a woman, you have a wife, your mom's a woman, your daughter's going to be a woman, but to still have that level of disdain for women it's very troubling.
I have another good example. This one's probably my favorite. Actually, there are a couple of them. Being an athlete, I kind of get I get like the mansplaining shit. Right? So like I have an $8,000 bike, and I've done 2 Ironman events, and I consider myself a fucking athlete, because as I should, I earn that shit, right? So I was on my bike one day and I went to climb up a hill, and I passed this guy. He was probably in the 60s or something, but I pass a lot of people. It's no big deal to me, And I start to come out of the saddle, and he's like, "Get down in the saddle."
Like, from behind, he's behind you, and men suck.
I have so many stories like this. So then I slow down and I said, "What?" I pull up next to him and I said, "What about what I'm doing right now makes you think that you could tell me, like I have the Iron Man tattoo, the whole nine, like I'm a strong person, like it, and my whole scene doesn't look like I need like lessons from you, like it doesn't look that way." So, and he was like, oh, you know, he said something, and then I just carried on, and he actually caught up to me, and I think maybe he was a little bit older, and he realized like that I could have been his daughter or something, and he realized what he had done. He apologized to me.
Yeah, you gotta like you men, we have to realize that like when we walk by a stranger and she's by herself, like the thought that I'm going to walk up to her and murder her is a realistic thought. So like you have to be extremely mindful about how you talk to women that you don't know in the street. And the biggest thing is don't talk to them. Put your head down and keep walking.
Right. When in doubt, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And like, so you got the choice of shutting the fuck up. You have the choice of like complimenting. You have the choice, and you go straight past all of that and go to shouting at some woman you don't know. That's horrifying. That's horrifying.
I have another one. This is a stupid one though. It's not even athletic. I'm running, and there's actually a guy in Congress in my town, and I have my AirPods in, so I clearly am listening to music. Like you could see, like here's my baseball hat, here's the AirPods. And every morning he's like from across the street, good morning, like as if I owe him a fucking response. And I'm always like, oh my God, this fucking guy again, right? So one time, now this is during a pandemic, he literally blocks the sidewalk so I could see him, like demonstratively, like in my face, like to sit in front of me, like, good morning, like, and I'm like, oh, like I have to go around him, like
an older guy around.
Yeah.
Wow, wife and kids, probably has a grown daughter, and still feels entitled to your hello.
I have to say good morning, or I'm like a cunt. You understand? Like this is how it is.
But like, but you understand what that is, right?
What, that he's fat and short and disgusting, and he's never, yeah.
And that's like, so a thing that guys do often is self-sabotage when you don't know your own value and you are attracted to a woman who has more value than you. Instead of coming at her in a genuine way and risk getting rejected, you start with something really despicable and disgusting because you know that you can't actually get this woman, but you feel so entitled to her attention that you're going to do something to get her attention. Like that, catcalling, stuff like that.
He did it 3 times, and then the 4th time, he was with his wife. What? And don't you know he just hung his head like this?
Of course he did. Of course he did.
And I wanted to be like, good morning. So the wife would have been like, what is going on? Who is this girl?
Yeah, she should know. No, he's out here being disgusting.
Yeah. So that's my kind of like, you know, but I think women get that like kind of like shit all the time, like cat calls or, you know, people breaking their neck or, you know, just talking down to you, you know. Similarly in a spin class, same thing. Some guy next to me was telling me to get down in the saddle. I have very strong legs, so when I get up, I use my body weight. It's actually really power. And I was like, how many Ironman have you done? And he was like, oh, and then he just stayed quiet.
Yeah, and like, so like conventional fundamental wisdom says, yes, get down in the saddle. But if you have long legs, you don't need to get that low to generate power. If you have short legs, you got to get your hips down lower so you can generate more power. But if your legs are long, you don't necessarily need to get down that low. So that's where they're coming from.
I remember I had done a back-to-back spin, so my crotch was fucking killing me. I remember, and I was like, my crotch. I was like really trying to lose weight, and I'm sitting in the saddle for too long. I gotta like air out my parts. Like,
yeah, it's
business. You know, there's 8, you know.
Yeah, just to feel so entitled to not even during a workout, to feel so entitled to comment on somebody's body for any reason is disgusting.
Yeah. So that's my little patriarchal kind of like icky, you know, rant.
Now, so with guys who you are friends potentially dates, how do you reconcile when they start to exhibit patriarchal, like they're what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're I don't know, when they're just showing off that they are suffering, that they suffer from the patriarchy also. How do you reconcile that?
That's a great question. I don't know that I've had too much of that. I don't vibe well with it. So the second I detect anything like that, I oftentimes will just like move away from it. I don't I don't do well with any kind of mansplainy vibe. You know, you and I talk about race relations, and I get all kinds of explaining, and that's totally different. So, like, you know, in my own regard, I tend to be, let's say, like, somewhat disenfranchised as it relates to, let's say, a white guy. So, like, for him to say, like, oh, you should do this or you should do that, can be like, that can be really triggering for me. So I don't really vibe well with that.
What are the type of things that are red flags for you?
I don't do sarcasm. I think sarcasm is passive aggression's older brother.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do innuendo or shame. So, like, if you're snarky and you make a joke, I'll be like, goodbye. I just don't. I don't think it's fucking funny, and I'm really funny. Like, I think I'm fucking hilarious. I mean, you and I have laughed. I've laughed at some of your shit. Like, I think I have a great sense of humor, but you don't have to be like a dick or like a asshole to be funny.
Yeah, you have to take the person's temperature first, and like, are we friends to the point where we play around and poke at each other, or do you just jump out the bat this way because A, you think it's funny, but like B, you know it's not really funny. You're just being a dick and trying to cover it up with saying you're trying to be funny. So you just cut that off real quick.
Yeah, so like in these dating profiles, like a red flag is like if someone says like, I just want to meet someone normal. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And then I'm fucking totally abnormal, and I never would want to be normal, and nor would I want to be with somebody normal. But also they'll say things like must like sarcasm, and I'll be like, yeah, goodbye. Because obviously you don't understand what sarcasm is. It just means you're a fucking pussy and you can't actually say what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and even if I'd be funny, it's a very lazy form of comedy.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, I might be cute with my friends, but it would always be loving. Like I would always, you know, like if I were going to be cute with my girlfriend and I were like, it would be like more complimentary. Like I might be like, look at, you know, my girlfriend Yvonne, she always brings presents whenever she shows up. And I'm like, look at this girl. She comes with the presents every time. But it's always like, you know, I'm being cute and joking, but like, I'm not, you know, like I'm being loving about it. I would never, you know, shame people. I have a no tolerance for shame, certainly during COVID.
Yeah, definitely. So wait, what apps are you on?
You know, Tinder said I'm banned.
You get banned from Tinder.
I am banned from Tinder.
Would you get banned from Tinder?
I think somebody hacked my phone, which, by the way, would be another non-surprise.
Yeah, true. Oh, it sucks.
But were you ever on the dating apps before you got engaged?
Me and Marion met on OkCupid. In addition to that, I was on Tinder, and I guess you can say I was on Bumble. I don't think I ever met anyone from Bumble, so I don't think it counts if you never met anyone, but mostly Tinder and what did I just say? OkCupid.
Yeah, those are good. I mean, they're fine. I mean, it's hard. How else are you supposed to meet anybody? I don't know. It's not like, you know, especially with pandemic, how are you supposed to meet anybody anyway? It's a very hard time.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I'm sure even when like I show myself best through writing, and so where we are now, that's social media and dating sites. So I'm good there, and like I meet more women through that, met more women through that space. But in real life, when I would meet women, they were just like, they'd be so super weird, like way weirder than women on, obviously they're the same people, but there's something about meeting in person that just like make women react very weirdly to me.
Really?
Yeah, like I can think of two different examples of I was just out, just hanging out, and for the most part, like they approached me and like were flirting with me and stuff. And then when I would like reciprocate, there was like this recoil. Like one was like very much always had to show like I'm hanging out with other people while we're hanging out, or I'm leaving at this specific time. Um, or what was the other one? Another one was like, okay, this is the specific place where the relationship is going to go. It's not going to go anywhere past that. And I don't know. I find it very weird to approach somebody with how you design. How do you approach somebody and then you make that instead of just like engage. And my connection keeps going in and out. That's fun.
I can still hear you now.
Yeah.
I remember, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
I remember when I first met you, I thought you were guarded. And I think that I always think of myself as guarded, but I was not as guarded as you were. You were pretty guarded. Do you feel that way? Like,
What did I say? What did I say or do that came across as guarded?
I don't know. I just felt like you were like kind of like an observer. You were like just taking shit in.
Yeah, that's how I do. I'm very much I sit back and I like take the temperature and I like try to figure out like what makes people comfortable to talk, because my natural personality is just to say whatever's on my mind.
Right.
Like brash or inappropriate or whatever. And so that's really not the best way to ingratiate yourself with strangers. Like it can go over as a hit or it can end really horribly. So I've been trying to figure out the middle ground. And also, at that time, since I was single, I was like making a very mindful effort to not just flirt with every single woman around me, and like so that was probably part of it too.
That was such a fun night, though. Remember with Chris Christie?
Chris Christie, oh my, I can't believe we saw Chris Christie.
I thought my picture was going to go viral. I've done some shit that's supposed to go viral that never goes viral.
It should have. It should have. We had a lot of fun that night.
There was a girl that night who, at the end of the night, was wearing. Now I got to write this down. She was wearing a $1,200 speaker backpack. Do you remember this?
I remember that, and it was glow. It was lighting up and everything.
I like when I have any amount of money, I need to buy one of those because it's like the dopest shit ever. And I just wrote it down.
Oh wow, that's a good one. Oh, when going back to what you were saying about the things that people would have in their dating profiles, another red flag that I always thought of is when people are like, I don't do drama or keep drama away from me. Yeah. Those are always the most dramatic people.
Yeah, or like laid back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like just here's what you don't do for me on a dating profile. Number one, don't start off with telling me what you're not gonna do. Like how do you start off so negative and think that's gonna make a guy want to be attracted to you? That's horrible.
Wait, can we critique mine right now?
Sure. Yes. Love it. Here we go. Love this. Love this.
Here's my Bumble. Okay. First of all, I like my pictures. I'm not ready to get away from them yet. But here's what I wrote. Mother of a son at university, psychotherapist, and 2-time Ironman. Not only should you swipe left if you like Trump, you should also go get your fucking head checked. Really seeking the full package, but if you are funny, I will overlook some things. And then I left it at that. That's all I wrote.
That's nice and sweet. That's down to earth.
Add or delete?
Well, first we got to see the pictures first because it's a combination. I think I would give. Let's see.
So okay. This is my.
Okay.
Then I'm on a microphone. Not that I'm a professional on a microphone, but I guess I thought I looked cute on the microphone. Baseball hat backwards. Oh, this is at the Women's March where I was carrying a Black Lives Matter sign. Just be advised.
Okay.
This is back when I thought I was hot shit, but this is from 2013. Maybe I should get rid of that. Looks dated. And also my eyebrows are very thin.
I mean, that picture looks distinctively different than the rest of the pictures.
And then just me working. Where I feel like
you should also add another picture of you doing something that you enjoy other than drinking.
Oh, is there anything?
Yeah, you like fitness?
Oh, you're right.
Is there anything?
Okay, I'm writing a note. Running. I love to run.
Yes.
Okay. I got it.
And maybe a pic with your crew out hanging out doing something.
Maybe. Okay.
If you're not opposed to that, that's the only things I would add. All right, now let's read the profile again. I gotta
mother of a son at university, psychotherapist, and two-time Ironman. Not only should you swipe left if you like Trump, you should also go get your fucking head checked. Really seeking the full package, but if you are funny, I will overlook some things.
Are you or does it not matter? A guy who has kids.
I kind of want that.
Okay.
Yeah, should I put that in there?
I mean, if you start with mother, to me, that would I work with kids, so I don't want any of my own kids. And if she already has her own kids and doesn't want to have,
so that's attracting fathers.
Yes, probably.
Good. That actually works for me.
Or guys who are open to, but if he's open to being a role model to your kid, he probably wants his own kid too. Could go either way.
Or has them already, right?
Yeah, or has them already.
I'm not having any more fucking kids.
Yeah, kids are. Whew, that's a whole different conversation. Oh my god.
Tell me about what keeps you from that experience. I'm just curious.
Because I work with kids and I know exactly not even that I know exactly what goes into dealing with kids. I know about 60 or 70% of what goes into dealing with kids. Like to put a kid to sleep every night must be a fucking nightmare. Waking up in the morning to feed them and bathe them and get them out of the door and dress for school every day must be a fucking nightmare. Like, you know,
I will tell you, I'm going to give you a little bit of my perspective on having my son, and I have my son very young. It is literally the reason why people get so confused about this and kind of share the brilliance of it is because it is quite literally equal parts horror, equal parts absolute love, like real love. So that's what makes it so fucked up is like, it's not like it's 51-49. It is literally 50%. I can't believe I did this to my fucking life. And 50%, I can't believe I did this to my fucking life.
Yeah.
The whole time you're just like, and that's the magic. That's why we'll continue to procreate.
Yeah. And I'm a teacher, so I need the rest of y'all to keep having kids so I can have a job. So, it's what is it? What it is? Here's what it is. I don't like kids, but like I have this profound respect for them because like they can do whatever the fuck they feel and there's nothing we can do to stop them. Like we can give them consequences after the fact, or you can like build in systems to like compensate for them doing that, but you cannot stop them. And the smart ones know you can't stop them. And I respect that. I respect that deeply, but that don't mean I want it in my house.
No, you're a smart man. People ask me all the time, are you afraid of anything? And I always say Republicans and small children. Why? Because they're both stupid. That scares me. I'm afraid of that.
Like 2-year-olds? Oh my God. They are terrifying.
Yeah. No, well, first of all, I ran a daycare for 9 years from my house.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Dude, if I hear a crying baby in a restaurant, I have to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
9 years.
So at my school, where I do my gym classes is called the multi-purpose room. And so my desk is by a door and that door leads to a hallway where the preschool classes are. So like any given moment, some kid is screaming at the top of their lungs due to for any number of reasons. And it just like I can feel it like in the back of my neck. Like it's and also I was a violent crier at that age too. So that it brings me back to that feeling.
Yeah. No, it's really, really, it's hard when it's your own child. All of a sudden, though, you are in a different like world, truly. Because my son was first of all, my son was colicky and I almost threw him out the window the first few months. And then he was, sensitive, and I left him in daycare. Actually, when I worked for the phone company, I would drop him off, and like it would devastate me. I ended up leaving work. I couldn't be without my son. I literally because I had such a fucked up childhood, like this kid actually loved me and I had never felt that before. So I was like, oh my God, like, what do you mean? Like, so we became very attached. Yeah, but it is a beautiful experience. But it is really hard, and I always say, just, get a dog.
But like that's the kid is like 9 jobs that don't pay you. And then you got to go get another job to take care of these other 9 jobs.
Yep, it's a lot.
Like I have the utmost respect for parents in general. A super duper respect for looking for when two things are fighting each other. The internal conflicts that I see that my mother has about parenting with my mother there, I can't imagine what that internal conflict feels like when you don't have a partner to, just support you through that feeling, let alone all the work that goes into raising a kid that contributes to that initial feeling.
Yeah. I was really lucky. My son was like, because I was so young, and I only had one, it was like we kind of grew up together, and we just figured it out.
How old were you?
I was 24.
Okay.
I mean, it was young in that like my friends were like in the Hamptons.
My mom was
yeah, very young. TJ, you're super frozen. There's frozen and then there's super frozen. You're super frozen.
Hey, sorry, I got lost for a second. This
connection.
Hold on, can you say that again?
How old was your mom? I think you said she was a teen. Yeah.
My mom was 19 and my dad was 23 or 24.
Yeah, that's really young.
And my dad was in the Air Force at the beginning, so a lot of the time was just me and my mom. And I can only imagine how scary that must be for a 19-year-old. You're taking care of this infant, your husband's somewhere, he's in the Air Force, but he's God knows where, just trying to put some food on the table. It's like, yeah, I can't, I gladly he finally got out of the Air Force and was around more when I was still young. But initially, I'm sure it had to be horrifying.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not easy. It's just one of those things you do. But you know, when I was working in the Bronx at a clinic, I would see people that were, you know, they grew up in the foster care system and they were now with, you know, multiple children trying to get ahead, trying to work and make ends meet. And so I always count my blessings that, like, you know, I only had one. I
Mhm.
felt like all of their good intentions to have this family life and to create siblings would scare me, right? So sometimes they would come into session and say, I'm pregnant. And I'd be like, oh, like, because I knew the resources weren't there for them. And it would
Yeah.
just be really hard because they have all of the best intentions. But, um, you know, that was hard to experience because, like, how do you say to someone like, oh, well, congratulations, but you're kind of like, damn you, what are you doing? No more. Like, not because of anything like the best intentions, but the resources are just not there. They're barely there, like, in the first place. I mean, I don't care. Angelina Jolie, she's got 17 kids or whatever the fuck her problem is, right? But she's rich as shit. I still would never do something like that. It's too much.
So many, so many questions.
Okay, John.
But even like, let's work backwards. Even, huh?
But
Yeah, even in Angelina Jolie's case, she's got all the money and all the resources in the world, but also like still a ton of emotional work that you have to do when you have that many kids. So either you're carrying the burden of fulfilling that emotional work, or you're carrying the burden of knowing that you're being negligent in that space. So like, it's obviously hard either way, and people don't know what they're getting themselves into, like, at all. Like, any of my friends who are like they want to have kids, I've asked them, what's the most amount of time you spent with a kid without their parent? And it's usually like a handful of hours. And I'm like, look, I'm not saying don't have a kid or do have a kid, but I'm like, if you really want to understand what it's like to have a kid, you need to babysit someone's kid for at least 72 hours and then make a decision based off of that. Because any age, if you can't understand what it's like to just be helpless and completely at this kid's whim and will, like, you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
But also, you know, here's a good topic if you want the king of all topics. I mean, outside of climate change, which is like very macro, here's another one. And liberals and Republicans alike don't ever want to talk about this, and it is overpopulation. So we don't have the
Yep.
resources at all, and we wonder why we're fighting for them and, you know, scraping each other's eyeballs out. But that is, you know, another socialistic approach, which, you know, China as a communist country has figured out, and we're eventually going to have to figure out as humankind, is that we just have too many fucking people,
Exactly.
and we don't know how to talk about this for some reason because there's just a libertarian sort of notion that, like, well, you can't tell me what to do. Well, yes, the fuck I can, because there's not enough fucking, you know, trees that we're chopping down or water that's like, we just don't have enough. And like, no one will talk about it. As a matter of fact, Jacques Cousteau, I think, was famous for saying that that will be the end of our species, is overpopulation, that we will just kill each other.
Well, you know what it is? It's religion. It's be fruitful and multiply. Everybody believes that it's their right. Not everybody, but a lot of religious people believes it's their right to just have as many offspring as humanly possible. And some of y'all don't need to be procreating, let alone 5, 6, 10 kids.
No, it's disgusting. But also, liberals don't want to talk about it either, because liberals are sort of this like, well, you know, you can't really, yeah, we can. Like, so it's a very socialistic conversation. And that's another thing that people don't want to discuss, is socialism.
I think, I mean, I personally think you should only be allowed two.
Same. Same.
Uh, um,
fucking crack myself
My
with the funniest.
connection wasn't so shit tight. Oh, sorry. I lost you for a second.
I was talking to myself and I was enjoying it. No worries.
Sorry, I was trying to sync my internet back into my computer. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was having the funniest thought. You know, like in China, they were like, you can only have boys. You're not allowed to have girls. I
Mhm.
have this very I have a very radical feminist approach, which is you can only have girls. And I fucking love it. It's so genius. Just for a little while, you know what I'm saying? Just like even it out.
I mean, let's assume we can control the gender. Yeah, we definitely need. We need like. I mean, it can't. But let's put it in a vacuum and say there's a world that exists where we could do that. We would need like 20 women to every one guy to undo all the damage that we've done to this fucking planet and society to even begin to talk about evening out the
Look,
race.
this is the smartest podcast that's ever happened. And we're like 3 people watching it, but this is the smartest fucking thing that's ever been said. I'm just letting you know. And I came up with it. I'm just telling you.
I mean, listen, if women ran the world, it would like if women ran the world, we wouldn't even climate change wouldn't even be a conversation. It's so fucking obvious that we need the earth so that we can survive.
But wait, let's talk about Trump women though. They're not really, that's the problem. We have a little bit of a caveat here, like a major caveat. How many millions of those motherfuckers are there?
Let's see, 70 some odd million people voted for Trump. And of those, I mean, it was something like 50 some odd percent of white women voted for Trump, somewhere up there. I might be overshooting it, but it wasn't 12, 15, 20%.
Yeah. So then maybe we need to think about what our women are doing these days.
Well, it's tricky for women, sort of like the way it's tricky for people of color and Black people specifically, meaning that we're never going to control the power paradigm. So all we can do is like fight against it or cozy up next to it. So a lot of women and a lot of Black people will sell out women and sell out Black people to have a seat next to white supremacy because they're too weak to try to fight against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
And I see that as cozying up to patriarchy too. I do see it that way. And at this point, because the white man is in power, it's hard to even detect the difference in some ways.
It's definitely overlaps. I think you could probably, I mean, no, you can, you might even be able to use them interchangeably though. Because I think.
Yeah. We are so smart.
Right? Like, why don't we use the world? It's dumb.
I think you're right. I think patriarchy in this country for sure is translating into the white man. It's not like I'm like, well, you know, like I think maybe we have to redefine patriarchy. Or was it ever defined?
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I just assumed that patriarchy meant that society is run in a way in which men are placed above women. And so you're either contributing to that or you're fighting against that. And there are some systems that exist outside of your control where just by being a man, you benefit from patriarchy. That was my understanding.
Do you feel that you benefit more than I benefit?
Wow, great question.
No. I feel like it's a hard no, and then it's not patriarchy.
Okay. So you got to look at it in two contexts. In the greater context of all cultures, you probably benefit more. But if you compare my existence and just my culture compared to your existence and just your culture, I have more privilege in that space.
Right. So we would have to compartmentalize
Yeah.
culture. I don't know if I was thinking about it that way. You
Yeah.
know, the patriarchy, the definition of it wouldn't be that you would compartmentalize shit other
Yeah.
than you're a boy, I'm a girl.
Yeah. And even
Patriarchy.
yeah. Because and so like spaces like that is pretty much the only place where black men have societal privilege just in our own cultures. Like you just get to treat women however you want to treat them, and like you'll be rewarded for it. It's
Mhm.
scary.
Do you think in some ways that you and I have some commonalities because of that? Like
Yeah, so
like like in terms of like if you were going to create tiers of like if you were going to create classism or whatever, you would have certain tiers and who was, you know, in power more.
I think it would be hard to like do like a tier system, but you can do some 3D version of it, and the basis of it is this: the at least in my opinion, the general attraction between black men and white women who date each other is that white women have this because you're protected by by society in general. Um Individual men know, but like society in general protects you to a point where you have this whimsy and carefreeness about you that we don't have. And so being around that is attracted to us. And on the flip side, for white women, we black men have this like realness, this since we always have to be aware of our environment and aware of our safety, and like we have to be like real pretty much at all times just for our survival. And that's attractive to white women because white guys don't have that like at all.
You want to hear interesting? This is really interesting. Check this out. I have so many topics that it's scary. Well, maybe we should save this one for next.
We should write these. We should
Heavy.
write these down and flesh them out instead of just jumping from topic to topic.
Really okay, let's stay here. Well, I'll send you an email.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I remember, so I told you I had love affairs with black men when I was younger. My first I was 17, but I very much loved Ron. He was Haitian. We went to like high schools that were like what do you call it when they're fighting? I don't know. I can't think of the word.
Rival.
Yes, rival high schools. And he actually died in a car accident. I wasn't dating him at the time, but it was after. But we were still very friendly, and it was really, really fucking tragic. But he was like the whitest black guy you could ever like. He was just like, yeah, dude. Like he loved like Metallica and like, and I had subsequently dated other black men. I lived with somebody that I went to high school with later who was nothing like Ron, but he was very much like culturally, it was not what you would imagine that he might could like. It was just, I remember it was like the 80s. And he was like, not like culturally, like not anything that you would think. He was different in a way. He was whiter than I was. Mm-hmm. In terms of his cultural, what am I saying wrong? Tell me. I'm probably saying all of these kinds of things.
You're not, and it took me a while to learn this too. Not all black people grow up around black people. So if you grow up around white people, that's just what you're going to internalize. So they have a different kind of struggle, which if you have enough privilege to go to college, which reveals itself is they finally have a black community that's outside of their family that they can immerse themselves in. And a lot of conflict usually occurs in that process of growing up and just around white people and not having the chance to be around black people. So it's not that you're saying anything wrong, but it's a very nuanced, complex.
His brother was nothing like that. His brother is still around, and he and I are actually like very close. Like he's like a brother of mine. Like absolutely love him. But he almost, it was like he was like a little like over the top with it. It was like kind of like, yeah, bro. Like it was like little. His brother was nothing like that. It was like, I don't know if he was trying to behave a certain way. Like it seemed that way, to be fair.
He
Like
might have been.
yeah, I mean, it would be like if I were just like, just like appropriating some other culture or something. It didn't feel like it was working.
But again, if you grew up in a black neighborhood and the only other white people you know are your family, you're going to internalize that because that's what you're around.
And I did grow up in a black neighborhood. I just was always just like this bitch.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
like it's not appropriation if that's the actual culture that you grew up in. It's not appropriation. Now, as you get older, you have to not you specifically, the general you in this situation, you have to recognize how even though you grow up around black people, that you're the white girl hanging out with black people. So there's a different experience that you have when the entire world looks at you. So when the entire world looks at you, they're looking down on you for being friends with black people. When black people, we embrace everybody, so we lift you up for embracing us. And again, it's a very complicated duality that white people who grow up in black neighborhoods have to try to learn to navigate.
You know what I should do? Oh my God, this is going to be fun for one of our shows. I'm going to take some screenshots of some of my pictures from high school and share my screen.
Oh my God, I would fucking love
There's
that.
a couple where I look like I'm trying a little too hard to like be like in the hood. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
you're a teenager. What are you gonna do?
But it would be hilarious.
Yeah, I would. Oh my
I'm
God,
just saying there's going to be a lot of St. Ides. That's all I'm saying.
drinking the crooked eye. Oh my
Okay.
God.
That's all I'm saying. We'll just leave it at that, and I'll just take some screenshots and share my screen.
Oh my God, I tried to drink St. Ides once in like high school. That was a big mistake.
What was your high school drink?
It tastes like gasoline. That's horrible.
Yeah. Ooh.
I can't believe they serve that to human beings. And
What did you used to drink?
What's that?
What did you used to drink?
So I wasn't in high school. I played a sport every season, and I was kind of square. So like I didn't really start drinking and smoking until like the end of senior year because sports was over and stuff. So we would, what we would drink? We would drink fucking Alizé.
Yeah. Aww. Look at me. Aww.
Like some losers. Oh my God. We would drink Alizé. Yeah, that's all I drank. And one night, actually, a one-off was New Year's Eve, junior year, when I was hanging out with my cousins at my aunt's house, and they were drinking E&J and smoking blunts. And so I was doing that. That was fun. Smoking and drinking was fun. Trying to drink by itself, it took a lot of years of learning how to do that. And then in college, you just drink whatever was available.
Drank every 40. We used to go. How old are you, TJ?
I am 38. I'll be 39 next month.
Yeah, so I'm old. Like I'm 47. So like this is what we used to do. We would take $2.50 and we would get a 40. And then my girlfriend Felicia would get Lucy's. Right?
When you could buy them for a quarter.
And we would sleep in my car, like straight up. It was like summer nights. And I remember just drinking 40s of Old English, or we would drink Mad Dog 2020.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Or we would drink Boone's. Like we drank dumb shit. And like, later on in life, like I remember the first time I had like a regular beer, I was like, who do I think I am? Like I'm a hoity over here. Like, what am I, fancy? Like, I mean, that's how much we were just like, we were like little rats. We just ran around and just all we wanted to do was get 40s and Lucy's. That was it. And I never smoked a cigarette, like I don't, but my friends, that was the goal because we had no money. It was like no money in the car, like I remember I had a 1987 Plymouth Turismo and the radio was stolen by my brother from like some rent-a-car. And it was black taped with the little tweeter. It was like a little wire. And we had the louvers on the back. I'm like, and it was a stick shift, and we would just drive this thing and we would get 40s. And we had no kind of money, just put gas in there. We would go to Grand Union and like get like we would steal tuna fish from the salad bar. I mean, we were just like, and then go sit somewhere at some school and like just laugh. That was
sounds like a lot of fun.
It was. It was so much fun. Oh my god! Please.
I kind of miss high school. Kind of don't.
I know, right?
Kind of do. Kind of don't. I was a fucking animal in high school.
Why?
Because like before, like it also depends on how capable you are of attracting girls. But like guys in general, until about, for me, it was like 30. We're just walking penises. It's just anything, everything is sex, like, and it takes a very, 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 very long time for, as a guy, to be able to appreciate a woman outside of the potential of me having sex with her. And for me, that was like around 30. But I know plenty of guys who are my age who still can't do it.
Yeah, and I'm older than you, and they're fucking like, it's like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's way more. I mean, don't get me wrong, sex is great, but there really is way more to life. Like, it's not, it just, I don't know what it's like. I created a son and he's 21, and I recognize, sex is important as just a woman who is a sexual creature. But it's like, it really isn't everything. Like, there's so many variables. Remember, we talked about this before, which is like, you don't know, nobody's an expert on relationships because it's so fucking dynamic, and sex is the most dynamic piece of all. The whole thing is it's like a prism. The whole thing is so dynamic. There's no trying to figure it out.
We can pick it up from right there next week. That's a great topic. We have so many things
to discuss.
Yeah, so many things to delve into.
Remind me, I have a really interesting thing in case I forget. Is that the data says there are more narcissistic Black men
than what?
Than any other.
Of the pool of narcissists, the biggest chunk is Black men?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fuck if I know why, but I'll study it. I'm gonna write a note.
I mean, I got some thoughts on that, but
let's talk about that, just because I did see that somewhere and I think it's worth discussing. If it's bullshit, then shame on me. But other than
that.
Okay, so Vanessa Reiser, teletherapist, licensed clinical social worker specializing in narcissistic abuse, etc. You can find me at teletherapist.net.
Awesome. 10.1 on most platforms, the number 10.1 on Instagram, mymotivation.com, mymotivation on all social media platforms, physical solutions for mental stressors. This has been Never a Lie. Thanks for listening, and we will see you assholes next week.
Yo, I be that young fly fellow, got thorough, dial for De Niro, did everything in the trap barrel, and I'm the newest member of the bad boy team, and I'ma bring this nigga Puff Mad more cream, with hooks galore.